video, we shall be discussing about the third stage of transport planning, which is popularly known as traffic assignment. Now, basically, we need to understand the purpose of why traffic assignment need to be adopted. Whenever the distribution of the existing traffic is being done by the various techniques that we discussed in the previous chapter or in the previous stage, that is trip distribution, it would be necessary to assign certain routes to all these vehicular traffic that we have already distributed. So that process of assigning the routes to the traffic which we have distributed is what actually happens in this particular stage. So the purpose of traffic assignment in transportation planning is basically to allocate different routes to the existing network of travel that we have in the transport system. So in this stage, the route to be traveled is determined and the interzonal flow are assigned to the selected routes. So what actually happens here is you have series of road networks, series of streets which are interconnected to each other, and this interconnection of these streets and roads that we have within the given region forms a network. And within this network there will be number of zones which already exists and which would be identified by the transport planner, and the transport planner need to assign the traffic volume certain routes which will see to it that the network operates effectively without any sort of congestion or delay in time or increase in cost, etc. So the application of traffic assignment are basically to determine the deficiencies in the existing transport system by assigning the future trips to the existing system. So you would be doing the fact findings of deficiencies that are existing in the transport system, and then possibly see whether the future trips can be effectively accommodated in the existing system. The second application or purpose of this particular technique would be to evaluate the effects of limited improvements and additions to the existing transport system. So you as a transport planner will be able to evaluate the possible effects of inducing improvements to the existing system, and also try to eliminate estimate the advantage of having those improvements, and to check whether it would be effective for the future trips as well. The third purpose is to develop construction priorities by assigning estimated future trips for intermediate years to the transportation system proposed for these years. So what it means is, if you do this traffic assignment as one of the stage in your transportation planning, it would help you to prioritize the alternatives or the corrections or remedial measures that you are planning to do. Say for example, rather than having a new alignment being developed, you might propose that the existing road network can be improvised by widening the streets, and you can run the same system for few more years. So it's like a prioritization that you will be having much more clarity in which solution has to be prioritized under what circumstances. The fourth purpose is to test alternative transport system and the proposals that you are going to propose by systematic and readily repeatable procedures. The fifth purpose here is to provide design our traffic volume on highway and turning movements at junctions. Now what this means is, When you do this uh, traffic assignment process, it not only helps the planner but also helps the executors. Executors are the transportation engineers who are responsible to execute your um, plans and see to it that it is effectively running. So when this kind of a traffic assignment is done, it would be helpful for the designers and the implementing engineers to design the geometrics accordingly such that the congestions and the accidents and also the cost incurred will be as less as possible. So it's beneficial to two different types of transportation engineers. One is the planner who is doing the planning, and the other one is the executor who is going to execute the project. So that execution becomes much more simple and much more effective if we do this or if we use this particular technique of traffic assignment. There are certain general principles which are being adopted by transportation planners since ages. There are a number of techniques that they have been using in doing this traffic assignment process. Very often, it has been observed that um, the main criterias responsible for a comfortable travel would be either in terms of journey time, the length, the cost, the comfort, and then the convenience and also the safety. So basically, journey of any person through any mode of transport is dependent on all these factors. So keeping these factors in mind, number of transportation planners and statisticians and the scholars have come out with the basic principle in doing this assignment technique, which we call as the minimum path tree technique. Now, this minimum path tree technique was actually developed by the person named Moore, and the algorithm that was developed by him was popularly termed as Moore's algorithm, and the same is being used by the telecommunication engineers and the telecommunication industries to allocate the minimum path or the least path uh, while the communication through wired telephonic system is being done. So let me explain you how the same Morse algorithm is being used here in this particular transportation planning process, wherein the travel is going to happen similar to the communication industries through a designated path which we call as the roads and streets within a system, and you would want to reach from one particular zone to the other zone through the designated path within a given network. Okay, so let us consider a system wherein you have a network of streets which is being represented like this in this figure 13.1. Now, I also mentioned to you that it works on the principle called as minimum path tree technique. Now, what it means here is when you are trying to travel from one point to the other point, you will be connected through series of links, and these links are nothing but streets for a region, right? And when these streets are connected together, they take the form of a tree. Once it has been finalized, it looks like a tree, and that's why we call it as a minimum path tree, because it is going to consume as less time as possible to reach the destination, or it might consume less cost to reach the destination, or even in some cases it might be consuming less distance or less fuel to reach the destination. So it depends on what is it that you are trying to save. Now coming back to this image, now if you have a closer look at this image, there are a number of numbers which are being There are plenty of numbers that are being shown here. Now the numbers outside the parenthesis or without the parenthesis represents the point where two or more streets are meeting, or it might be a zonal centroid. So for example, this number 11 is possibly a zonal centroid, or it can be a point or junction where two streets are meeting. So that's why these numbers represents either the zonal centroids or the point where number of streets are meeting, an intersection basically. Now the other set of numbers which are within the parenthesis, that is which are within the brackets, they represent time here. Okay, so time is being considered as an explanation by this author of the textbook. So we shall have this particular representation as time, right? So for example, if I need to move from zonal centroid 11 to zonal centroid 12, it takes 2 minutes or 2 units. So the units can be taken depending upon the requirement of the planner. So if you feel that you have denoted these numbers within the parenthesis as minutes, then you need to consider it as minutes or hours or whatever it is, right? So as an example, I would consider this as in minutes. So it might take 2 minutes to travel from zonal centroid 11. It is called as a node. Okay, so from node 11 to node 12, it takes around 2 minutes for me to travel. Similarly, from node 11 to node 15, it takes around 3 minutes to travel, and so on, right? Now, as an example that the author has taken, I would want to travel from zone 1 to the different zonal nodes. It might be a zonal centroid or a point where number of streets are meeting. So my origin is zone 1, which is here. So what I'll do is I'll start analyzing what is the total travel time to travel from zone 1 to different parts within this network. So you can see here that from zone 1 to zone 20, that is capital T 1 to 20, from node 1 to 20, it takes 3 minutes. That is what is being shown here. Similarly, from 1 to 17, it again takes 1 to 17, it takes again 3 minutes, right? So there are only two streets in contact with node 1, which is connecting 17 and 20. So from 1 to 20 it takes 3 minutes, and from 1 to 17 it takes again 3 minutes. There are no direct links which are linked to this node 1, and hence I just have two alternatives. Either I can travel in this direction or I can travel in this direction. Now once we have reached say node 17, I would be having three options. Through 17 I can go to 13, or I can go to 16, or I can go to node 19. So 1, 17, 19, 1, 17, 19 takes 5 minutes. That is, from 1 to 17 it is 3 minutes, and from 17 to 19 it is 2 minutes. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So 1, 17, 19 is 5 minutes. 1, 17, 16 is again 5 minutes, and 1, 17, 13 is 6 minutes. Okay, so once this particular thing is done, the next closest node to centroid 1 is 20, which we already had identified, will now be considered, and the cumulative time to travel from centroid 1 to all the nodes connected directly to it would be noted. Okay, so from 1 Through 17 we have already taken the data. Now let us check the other alternative. The other alternative was through 20. So from 1 to 20 it is 3 minutes, and from 20 to 19 it is again 1 minute, so total is 4 minutes. So 1 20 19 is 4 minutes, 1 20 25 is 6 minutes, and 1 20 21 is 7 minutes. Among all these, it is observed that 1 17 19 1 17 19 takes 5 minutes, whereas 1 20 19 needs 4 minutes. So the least among these two alternatives is obviously 1 20 19, and hence all the previous networks would be discarded, and I will be assigning the traffic to move from node 1 through 20 to 19. Understood? So this is how the minimum path tree or the minimum path tree technique would be utilized to assign the routes even in road network sectors. Now let me just remind you of how this particular technique, or this technique similar to other techniques, are being applied in our day-to-day life. So on similar grounds, working on similar principles, you might have observed the various map apps. It might be Google Map, or it might be any sort of maps, online maps that we use these days. So what exactly happens in this map, or using the map, is similar to how this technique works. Okay, so if you have observed these maps which we use in our day-to-day life, whenever you have or locate your origin, and then parallelly you will have to mention the destination, the app automatically calculates the path, the suitable path for you, which might be in terms of distance or in terms of travel time. It does not consider cost. Sometimes it do consider will be considering cost as well, but depends on what would be the choice of the user. But usually if you have observed, it would be in terms of distance or travel time. That is what we call or we see in the Google Maps as ETA. Either it might be similar ETA, or it might be certain minutes more than the primary net this thing route, or it might be less than the primary route that would be allocated to you. So when you're using these apps, you would have seen that it will give you certain options: option 1, option 2, and option 3, etc., etc. Right. Now when these options are shown, all these background calculations would be done by the app, and it would give you the best possible route through which you can reach your destination on time. Right. Alongside, you will be also shown about the details regarding the possible congestions that are there on the street. Now these congestions are actually correlated with the capacity of the streets in the network. So if the capacity of the street is overloaded, then possibly it might show as red. That is where the traffic movement will be nil. Or if it is about to reach its full capacity, it will show in terms of orange, if you remember using these apps. And if you don't have any kind of congestion, and if you have a free flow system, then it would be possibly showing as blue or green. Right. So on similar grounds, this particular minimum path tree actually works, and you will be given certain alternative routes whenever there is the needed change being shown to the user. Right. So this is how the principle of traffic assignment takes place using Moore's algorithm or the minimum path tree, right? Now this is what you had to know about the traffic assignment technique, the basics of traffic assignment technique, and possibly in the next video I'll be discussing with you about the various assignment techniques that we transportation planners use to do the assignment process.